So the next transformation and our last transformation that we're going to be looking at is reflections. Now, reflections are basically a flip. We are taking whatever image and flipping it either over our x-axis or our y-axis. So it's very imperative, if you haven't noticed, you need to know which is the x-axis, which is your horizontal axis, and which is your y-axis, which is your vertical axis. Now, a reflection is kind of like when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's reflected, right? Your face is flipped. When you're on Snapchat taking a selfie of yourself, your face is flipped over. So, so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be flipping these over the different lines of reflection based on what it tells us. So, this one tells us to reflect over the y-axis. So here is my y-axis. Now, we only are really going to look at points A and B. You can flip all of the points. I just wanted to save you a little bit of time and us only look at 2 points. So point A currently sits at 0.28 and point B currently sits at 6.9. So if I'm wanting to flip this over the y-axis, basically what I'm wanting to do would be like if I picked it up and flipped it over. So if A is a distance of 2 away to the y-axis, then I'm just going to go 2 away to the other side, and that is going to give me A prime. Let me rewrite that. So that gives me A prime. B is over here, and it is 6 away from the y-axis, so I'm just going to go 6 away to the other side, and that is going to give me B prime. So when I go to write my new order pairs, A prime is at -2, 8. B prime is now at -6, 9. So if I would have continued flipping this over completely, you would have had, I just said that you can see the shape. Let me erase, hold on. So that you can see the reflection. So this would have been E prime. C is at 5. That would have been C prime. And that's D prime. So just so you can see how your shape is flipped over, it didn't slide. Like when we did a translation, it slid. Your shape is literally, if you pick it up and you flip it over. So like your pinky would be closest to the y-axis if you laid your hand face up. And if you flipped it over, your pinky would stay right by the y-axis, but your hand then, the top of your hand would be facing up. So when we're looking at the effect of what a reflection does, it wants to know what effect did reflecting the polygon over the y-axis have on the x value. So what that means is here's my x value, here's my x value. What happened? Here's my x value, here's my x value. So if you notice, I went from 2 to -2, I went from 6 to -6. So I basically took the opposite of my x value. Then if I look at my y values, I have an 8 and my 8 stayed the same. I have my 9 stayed the same. So really there was no effect. So it stayed the same. It didn't change. So now if I'm going to take the same points and this time I'm going to reflect over my x-axis. So I'm going to be reflecting over my x-axis here. So I'm going to keep the same points this time. So I have 2, 8, and I have 6, 9. I'm going to use A and B again. So this time I am going from up here and I am flipping down to down here. So my shape is going from up here to down here. So A is 8 away from my x-axis, so it is going to be 8 away down here. So this is where A prime is going to be. And I'm going to erase this line so that, because I'm going to show you all of them. Then B is currently right here at 6, 9. It is 9 away from my x-axis, so it is going to be 9 away down here, so B prime. So again, I'm going to delete that, so I'm going to show you all of them. So C is 4 away, so it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 away, C prime. D is 5 away, so it is going to be 5 away, that's D prime. And E is 3 away, so it is going to be 3 away. That's E prime. So if I draw this, because I want you to be able to see the shape and how it flipped over. So you see how I picked it up where E was at, and when I flipped it over, how E is closest to the x-axis. E and C are down there close to the x-axis. E and C, so like here's E and C. Notice E and C are right here pretty close as well. And A and B are furthest away, A and B are furthest away. So now my new ordered pairs, A prime is at 2, -8. B prime is at 6, -9. So I'm going to look again and wants to know what the effect on the x-axis, when I reflect over the x-axis, the reflect on the x-coordinate. So if I have 2, it stayed 2. If I had 6, it stayed 6. Those are my x-coordinates. So there was nothing, it had no effect on it. They stayed the same. However, when I reflected across the x-axis, my y value was 8 on A, and it was -8 on A prime. It was 9 on B, and it was -9 on B prime. So when my effect on my y coordinate, when I reflect over my x-axis, is that I had to, I took the opposite of my y value. So I want you to continue on practicing these. Notice the shape moves. Again, I'm only asking you to do A and B. The shape moves, and make sure that you are paying attention to when you reflect over the y-axis, what happens to x, what happens to y. When you reflect over the x-axis, what happens to x, what happens to y. So you have 7 more of these to do. It shouldn't be too terrible because these two, 3 and 4 are the same shape. So A and B stay the same. You're just flipping over a different axes. 5 and 6 are in the same spot. Just you're flipping 1y, 1x, and 7 and 8 are the same shape, same place. You're just flipping over y over x different. So I want you to pay attention to when you're flipping, make sure you're very careful at noting when you're flipping over the x-axis, what's happening to x and y. When you're flipping over the y-axis, what's happening to x and y.